Good morning everyone and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, this channel is all about Unreal Engine and photogrammetry. So what I do is I travel around the world, I do a lot of photo scanning, and then I bring those models into Unreal Engine and build environments from it. Eventually I will sell it on the FAB Store. For this project I went to the Fanal Forest in Madeira, which truly is one of the most magical places on this planet. There I scanned around 30 trees. I'm now making a tutorial series where I'm going to show you everything that goes into creating these assets from beginning to the end. In this episode, I'm going to publish the tree to the FAB Marketplace, and I'm going to show you how to get the materials on there and how to make a 3D preview. Good morning everyone, hope you're doing absolutely fantastic. Today we are going to publish the tree to the FAB Store. So for you who have hung out all the way to the end, watched all the episodes, you know that we have created this tree that I took in the Fanal Forest. And it's been quite the long process, much longer than I thought it would be, but finally it is done. Everything is sorted and we're going to publish it to the FAB Store. Now, it's not as easy as you think to publish things on the FAB Store. They do make it a little bit harder than it should be. It's still very much a work in progress, the whole FAB Store, but I have great hopes it's going to turn into something really cool in the end. So take a look at my map here. All of this is going to eventually end up at the FAB Store. So there are two ways to do this. One is to publish the whole thing as a map, like an Unreal Engine map, and that is going to happen, but it's going to take some more time before I'm at that stage. But what I'm going to do in between is that every time I finish one of these trees here, so this is the tree we've been doing this couple of weeks, and this one we're now going to publish as an FBX to the FAB Store. There are a few other formats you can publish it as, but I found that FBX is more than enough and it's complicated enough to publish it. So let's see what is making it complicated and see if we can sort it out. It is sortable, of course, but it's a little bit, it's a little bit tricky because they've made it in a way that if you're a technical engineer, it's probably easy to figure it out, but if you're just a normie user, it gets a little bit trickier to see how you're going to put things in there and make it work. It's a lot of trial and error, but eventually we'll get there. So let's get to it. What do we have to do? First of all, we need to follow the naming conventions. So I can already set it up here. So if it works in Unreal Engine, it's you're already good to go. But what we want it to do is when you download an FBX from the FAB Store, it has to be drag and drop. It can pretty much, you even have this FAB here where you can click and it should automatically come in. And then you get assigned a Megascans material. You get that for free. And so I have to adapt my textures to fit that narrative, that shader. It's a little bit different now than it used to be. So the other shader that I had, let's take a look here. Like one of these, they follow the old Megascan standard. So that's when we use these RGB textures here, which are no longer used in the new shader, but I use them in mine for now, and I'll see what I do with it in the future. They're quite efficient, and it's kind of nice to have that you only get 3 textures in, and then it just makes everything more visible. But okay, so the first thing we need to do is sort out the textures, and we need to rename them, so we got to follow the naming conventions. So the good people over at the FAB Store, the ones who are working with it, they released this document here, which contains a lot of good information about how to export it and how to pack it correctly. And if we scroll down a bit through the document, you will see not only which formats are supported, etc. We will also see the texture naming convention. So let's see here. Here's one example here. So it doesn't accept whatever you write in there, but you need a suffix for your textures. So this would be the base color or the diffuse or the albedo. So you can choose any of these. And then when you download the FBX, it's going to automatically hook it up to the Megascans shader. And the same goes for all of these here. So I'm opting for, in this case, I'm going to go for the smaller one. I'm going to go for the col. And I think that's the one. It might be the best because it avoids a lot of confusion. Let's see, for instance, it accepts color. This is the American spelling, but it doesn't accept the English spelling, so that might be confusing for some people if you're living in Europe. And so on. So I'm going to follow the small ones here. So I'm going to take the color, I'm going to take the rough, and for normals, it's a little bit different. So my primary aim is to get it into Unreal Engine. If that's not your case, if you're doing it more for Blender, then you should go for an OpenGL as a standard, probably. Or if you're going for Unreal Engine, you should get the normal map into DirectX. Now this is where the green channel gets flipped. So OpenGL is it's for everything movie-based, pretty much. All the normals, all the normal softwares that make VFX use the OpenGL standard, and then you flip the green channel, and then you go into the games world with DirectX. If you're not going to supply both, at least mark it correctly that it is a DX or a GL. So I'm going to go with a DX now. I used to go with the norm DX, but I'm getting such enormous lengths of my names that I'm just thinking of ways to shorten it down. So I think I'm going to try DX for now, and we'll see how that works out. So what I got to do now is I'm going to rename all the textures, but there's one more catch. And that's the UDIMs. So I've tried this before, and I even made a couple of videos about it, where I did a deep dive, and it's a bit of a confusing ride into madness. How you get this right? I think in the engineer's head, it all makes perfect sense, but once it hits more normal people, it starts getting weird. So for instance, Unreal Engine supports UDIMs, no problem, but I could not get UDIMs to load correctly in any way. So I might need to split it up where the each UDIMs becomes a different material. So no big loss there, but because I only use 2 UDIMs, but if you would use 10 UDIMs or something, then it would be a bit tricky. Now, it's not that it doesn't work, it still works. You will get it in, but it just doesn't, it's not going to hook up automatically to the materials. So you have to do a lot of heavy lifting yourself. You have to assign all the shaders by yourself and that kind of thing, which is maybe not what you want if you're buying things at the FAB store. Things might be confusing enough as it is, and I think it's a good idea if it's really just drag and drop and in it comes and it works as good as possible. You don't want to have to read through 1,000 pages of documents before you can use a simple object. That would not be the goal. So let's see how this goes. I'm going to rename everything, and then we make the first try of publishing it. This is my FAB listing site. It's everything I got that is available for purchase. Got a couple of Unreal Engine maps, and I got a bunch of FBX. Some of them are like little collections, and a lot of them are singles. So this single thing, so this is what I'm going to do now as well. So let's just click on one of them and see what it looks like. So here you go. Here you can see what I had to fill in. So I just published an FBX. Then you got to give it a title, give it a description, and a few other things you fill in here. You even get... for this, I keep it quite simple when it comes to what I'm publishing. So I'm publishing just a still image like this. This will be pretty much the thumbnail. And then you get a 3D object here as well. And if I'm publishing a lot of thumbnails, a lot of objects that are kind of simple, this is the way I do it, just one image and that. So I'm following a bit the Megascan standard, because they recently dropped a lot of single objects like this that you can buy. And I'm keeping the pricing just a little bit lower than what they have. And I'm keeping the same structure, so it looks kind of the same, so it doesn't get too confusing. I'm trying to get as close as possible to make it look like a Megascan material, because I know a lot of people are going to use that. Publishing an FBX is pretty straightforward. There are not really any checks and balances. I think it goes to some kind of AI or something, and they just approve it if it's not wildly incorrect. And then they rely on customers reporting it if it's there's something wrong, and then it gets taken down if it's some kind of AI slop or something like that. So But there's a lot of work to be done with that, and I hope it's going to be sorted in the future. But it is important to build trust so people know exactly what they're getting when they're getting one of these. So you have to be as transparent as possible and make it really look like there's a human being behind it. When you do a full-on map, it gets hand-checked by Unreal personnel, and they are very thorough, I can tell you. When I first sent some of this in, one of these maps here, I can tell you this goes through a lot of processes before it's done. They give you a whole list, like 2 pages PDF with a checklist that you have to fulfill. So they still do that check now, because they had to change from the normal store to the FAB store. And that's when you could start adding these singles here. You couldn't do this before. Before you had to pretty much add a complete Unreal Engine map. But now you can do all of these single FBXs. But they're still really hard that the Unreal Engine maps are top-notch. There can't be anything wrong with them. And let me tell you, you have to send it back and forth maybe 10 times if you're not careful. So every little misspelled word is going to be checked. Every texture that is not in the place that it should be, it gets checked. And I think that's a good thing, because we need to get all of this sorted as good as possible, because we don't want to create too much of a mess. But for now, let's create a new listing. Then you get to choose what it is you're going to do. I'm going to do a 3D. The top one here, confirm selection. And now we're starting. So I am just going to name this Fanal Lauri Silva Tree. So I'm going to change this a bit later to something, because I'm going to have lots of trees, so I'm going to have to figure that out. Then we got to give it a description and select product type is 3D. That's what select category. We could select something here. It's an environment. Let's see if there is forest and jungle. Sounds good, huh? Yeah, let's go forest and jungle. I'm going to double check all of this so that it gets the best possible. We're gonna get it paid, and we're gonna set this up. So I'll do all this in the end as well, just go through it really quick here. What we need to do, we need to put in a lot of tags. Then we need to create a thumbnail image. And then we need to do the media gallery. So like I said, that's a couple of screenshots and then also a 3D model of it. So we're going to try to make that. It's not that easy when I got this kind of advanced model with lots of textures on it. We'll see how it works out. And create a forum post, you could do that. And then we have, a few other things here. You have to disallow use by generative AI program. Yes, please, do not steal my stuff. And here you have to confess if you used artificial intelligence in any way. No, it was not. And I'm going to click that in as well. And it does not contain promotional content. So far, that's the basic thing. So this is just the description. And the next thing you got to do is add a new format. And here we can choose. So you can see it supports quite a few. You got the Maya, you got the Blender file, you got the ZBrush 3D Studio Max. So we're just going to use the FBX for now. And then you can upload the file here. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to create the file now and see what it looks like when we upload it. So we're taking a look at the document again, and we're going to have to find a folder structure. So a little bit further down, they will tell you all about that. So I think I'm going to choose this folder structure here. So this is when you are working with multiple assets, and that's what I'm doing. So I got at the top, you got the zip. So you just zip it flat. You're not supposed to get another folder with everything contains it in. So you just get one directory or one folder for one object, including the textures, and then another one the same, including the textures, and also the third one, including the textures. Then you select all of these 3 folders and hit zip. So you don't put them in another folder named tree or something like that. So it has to be kind of flat. What else would happen is if you put it in a top folder, which I have done. I've gone through all the mistakes you can do with this. So if you do that, it will import multiple versions of your texture. It will still work, so it's not a disaster, but you'll just get extra copies of the textures and that kind of thing, so it's not nice. So we're going to try to do this. We're going to take the tree in one, then the ferns in one, and the leaves in one, etc. So I'm just going to start drag dropping in. So these are the ones I published to Unreal Engine, and we're going to get it into the FAB folder here. So I created a new folder, just named it FAB, and then I have all the meshes here in one flat hierarchy. So let's find the corresponding meshes here and just drag them over. Go ferns. Well, we actually should just copy them. Don't want to lose them. So this will be another copy of and then the tree. Okay. And then we're going to find the textures as well and put them all in there. It's all sorted now. I have renamed all the textures that needed to be renamed and checked that everything is quite good. So I had to rename them here to have the col ending and the dx ending for normal maps in DirectX. And this one stays as it is. Now, however, this one is not going to get exported into the FBX. We are going to use this one and the color texture. And I also put stuff in the other texture here. So these textures are not used in my Unreal Engine build, but they will be used in the FBX export, some of them. So I'm going to export the rough at least, and then I'm also going to include the translucency and the ambient occlusion. But in order to do this, I'm going to set it up in Blender, because we are going to need to make a render out of this to make the thumbnails, etc., and a few other screenshots, that kind of thing. I've now sorted everything out in Blender. So I assigned the materials and the place that they're supposed to go to and everything. So we can just export this and then do a test import into Unreal Engine. But let's first see what is actually going on here. So let's start from the top. If I check on the wood fern material, this is the simplest of the materials. But the thing you need to do, you need to create a material and then drag in the textures and set them up. So here goes the color texture, the diffuse, the albedo, and you set it to sRGB, so nothing strange there. Second one is the roughness, plug it into roughness, and set the color space to non-color. And third one here is the normal map, and you set it to non-color as well, and you need this little extra normal map node, and then just plug it into normal. So that's all very easy and straightforward. Same would be for the grass. Gets a little bit trickier here, because I have two materials, but otherwise it's actually the same per material. So just sRGB, non-color for the utility textures, and in it goes. Now where it does get tricky is over at this one here, the tree, because it got UDIMs. So if I select the top one here, you can see, if I expand the texture here, that it has UDIMs. And in order to get it to load UDIMs, you first need to set, you import the first texture, which is the 1001, and then you change the 1001 for bracket UDIM with capital letters and bracket, and then end it like it says there where I expanded it. And then you have to set this one here to UDIM tiles. Normally it's set to single image, but you switch it to UDIM tiles and then it will load both of them. And you do the same for the other ones. And don't forget to set it to non-color for the utility textures, and that's about it. And now we can export them one at a time and then open them in Unreal Engine. We are in Unreal Engine, and this is where they all got saved. And you have all the textures here, the color, the normal map in DX mode and in GL mode and everything. I actually set it to, in Blender, I set it to the normal maps DX and not GL. So you need GL to render it properly in Blender or any other 3D software pretty much. But in all gaming-related software that uses DirectX, you would have to swap it for DirectX. So now when I'm exporting it, I will put it as the DX. Otherwise, it will find the wrong one when I publish it. So it all depends on which one is your priority. If you're targeting more VFX heavy stuff, then GL is the one to go for. Otherwise, it's DX. And at this point, Unreal Engine is the main source where things are supposed to go in the end. So I'm going to go with DX. But then when I do renders in Blender, I'm going to swap it out for the GL. Let's see what happens. Let's drag it in. So in comes the grass and just standard settings and import. There we are, and you can now see that it came in with the textures that were connected to it as well. And this would be the grass here. You can see if we double open it, it's right there with the material. So it's all looking good. Now the material is, it's a special case, of course. It's not really what you want, so it just creates a very basic material and hooks up these textures, and it doesn't do it correct even. So there's no way that I found out where you can get the roughness texture to actually connect to the roughness. It always wants to connect to metallic. So that makes this kind of a vanilla FBX workflow does not work. Now the good thing is that in Megascans they have their own scripts, so things will work there when you type in the correct suffixes. But vanilla FBX is not very good. So default back to your own material or one of the ones I made or the Megascan material, and then you just have to drag in the textures there. But it is kind of nice that it brings in some of the textures at least. Now on disk, when I publish this, there are going to be more textures. So let's see here, for instance, you only have the roughness here, and you have the normal map, and you have the color map. There's no RGB texture. So let's pick that up. We just drag and drop it in, the ones we want otherwise. Now we can use that. And if I want the GL for some reason, I could drag that in as well, and the translucency texture. They are all available. But this should be all we need, and then just plug it into the material. So there is, with FBX like this, there's always going to be a little bit of handiwork. You can't get away from that, unfortunately. Here's the tree. There we go. And this does not work correctly actually, because you see you got this one and it's looking white, and I get this material here. So this is because we're using UDIMs, so FBX can't recognize that in any good way. So it's just going to create this material with just a white texture. So you're going to have to import all the textures manually, but you only have to import the 1001 UDIM. Then Unreal Engine is going to recognize it as UDIMs and turn it into a virtual texture and all of that. Then you just have to assign a shader or a material with a virtual texture enabled, like either one of those that I have, or something you made yourself, or one from Megascans. But otherwise, it's correct. So let's see quickly if I just select these three and drag them in. And you can see it's also in correct size and everything, so we don't have to worry about nothing. All right, let's zip this up and send it over to the FAB Store. And in order to zip it, just select all of these, and I will compress it to a zip file. Okay, let's take the zip file and we just drag it to that window we had open before. Now it's there, and we can choose confirm. It has finished downloading, and then you will be met with this screen here. So it tries to automatically calculate what's in it for you. So it tries to figure out how many triangles you used, total amount, vertices, etc., how many meshes there are. So it says here that it's 1, but I know for sure that it's a bit more, let's say not 15, but 5 or something like that. However, it's kind of the same mesh, a little bit hard to see how I should name that actually. But this is the amount of textures that came with it, 54, so it's quite a lot. Max texture resolution 4K, it's all good. So just fill in this, read and fill in. Square textures, yes. Includes morph, no. No animations, no, no. And no baked and no rigged. Scanned. Yeah, sure. It's at least 50% scanned, 50% hand modeled. So that's what you need to do for this. You just fill this in. And then if you want to add additional formats, you can do that as well. But for now, we are going to go back to the main page and we're going to fill in all of this. So I'm going to have to start generating some thumbnails and a gallery. So I think I'm going to start with before I submit it because, like I said, I think it's not going to be 100% correct. When I've done this before, I had to do quite a few tries before it looked correct. It was a little bit trickier than I thought it would be. In Blender here, I'm just going to render out a thumbnail and a couple of still images. In Photoshop here, I got the thumbnail and I got 4 screenshots. So in FAB, you just drag and drop the thumbnail in there and we're gonna get the upload the images. So here you have the choice of images or 3D models. And for now, we're just going to do the images. And you can drag and drop it in here like you did on the thumbnail. So let's see here. We find one JPEG file here and see what it looks like. Then we hit confirm. And it is as easy as that. So these ones are in 1920 by 1080, so full HD. It's a good size. You can go higher, but you have a limit of, what is it, like 25 megabytes in total for all of these. So the more you have, the more memory it's going to take, of course. And you can only have 24 images as well uploaded, which is more than enough. So even though I am filling all this in and submitting it, I can change this after I have submitted it. So even if I don't have a complete description, I can add to it later, so you can start. But just be careful, because once it's submitted and approved, it will actually go up for sale. So you have to be honest about that. I think I'm done. So I got a title. I filled in the description. I have also filled in a bunch of tags here, which is handy, and the rest I did before. So the only thing now to decide is how much it's going to cost. So we got 2 choices here. One is completely free, and one is you can choose free or paid. So this is always a tricky thing, of course. However, for this one, I'm going to set the price at 0. So this is, I'm going to keep this price for a little bit so that everybody who followed along on this tutorial gets a chance to download this one for free. And then eventually in a couple of weeks' time, I will up the price to a normal price. But from the beginning, I thought it would be a nice gesture. You can go in and check this out for yourself. It's not like it's a million of you who watched the whole series, but for those who stuck it out until the end, can go in here and download it. I'll put a link in the description. However, I'm going to put the professional price. Let's put it at $14.99 for now. Because actually, I don't really want to sell anything now because I don't know how this is going to end up. But the thing is that in order to be able to test this out, I have to publish it and then download it. And then I can see what went wrong, if anything went wrong. And then I have to go back and re-upload it really fast. So this is, of course, a little bit dangerous because in the meantime, if you're lucky or unlucky, you get a couple of sales when it's kind of weird and people are going to wonder what's going on. So I don't think there is any other way where I can check it without publishing it. So we have the preview listing, but that just shows you what it's going to look like. And so there's no way there to just download it and do it. So I have to push the submit for review and when it's published, I can download it and check it myself. If I find a way how to do it before, I'll let you know, or if you know it, then I appreciate that. But for now, it's all filled in, so let's try submit for review. And we're going to submit without the conversion, because all of these, it's these ones here, they don't really work. I didn't have any luck with them when I tried it before. They just mess things up for you, so I don't want them at this point. So submit no conversion. We'll see what happens. So let's click in this here. We can try that. I actually haven't tried the manual publication. You got an automatic publication. We'll publish your listing as soon as it passes review. So manual publication, you'll control when to publish the listing after it passes review. So this might give me the option to check it before it goes live. So let's see if that works out. It was quite fast publishing it. It usually just takes a couple of minutes and sometimes maybe up to an hour or something like that. But usually it goes through approval quite fast. However, that didn't work, the trick that I tried. So if you set it to manual, you still can't download it. So I have to flip the switch on this one to publish it. Once it's published, I can download it. So now I have it here. So if I choose Unreal Engine 5.4 and I got the little Megascans plugin installed, and I can click export, and it should then end up in Unreal Engine automatically. Now one more thing about this is that I set it to manual, then I published it, and then I downloaded it like this, sent it over, but then I flipped the switch back to unlisted, which is something you can do. In that case, just so nobody buys it accidentally when it's not finished yet. So it's a little bit of protection there, or else it could get weird. And this is what it looks like. So it automatically comes in, but it's an absolute disaster, I have to say. This didn't work at all. It worked even worse than I thought it would. So yeah, I'm going to have to go back to the drawing board. But let's analyze what happened here. So I did everything correct, I think, according to the documents. And let's see what it did. So you have here, you got all the meshes and a lot of materials and all kinds of stuff. And then you got a textures folder, and that's correct. That's what you want. And you want the materials folder, and you want the additional textures. So in theory, what it should look like is that here you should only have the meshes. And none of this should be here at all. This is wrong. And they should all the textures should end up in the textures folder, of course, and all the materials should end up in the materials. And additional textures is reserved then for the ones I don't use. In this case, they're not hooked up to the RGB textures and that kind of thing. But let's see what we got here. So we got some materials. And let's click this one, for instance. So this, it has now created just that standard FBX material that I showed before, where it connects the roughness to the metallic and just creates a material without anything special. It's not the Megascan material. So all of these are going to be the same, and I can just kill them off. And why? Well, I guess these are the ones that are connected to these here. Let's check the ferns. That should be, yeah, it's that one there. So all of these materials here are connected to these ones here. So this is wrong. We're going to have to try to get rid of that. But you see, it's even though everything is in here that it's supposed to be, pretty much, this just doesn't look good when you send it out to... If somebody buys it and they get this, it's going to be very, very confusing. But all of this I can definitely delete without any problem. And let's see what this looks like. Let's take the ferns. So this one then came in with that material that I had. But let's see. The materials tab. What kind of materials do we have? So something went terribly wrong here as well. So let's check. So these are the Megascans materials, material instances here. So let's see, if I take the fern one, this is the wood fern here. So this in theory should have been assigned to the ferns. See there? But now it's white, and this is because I have, let's open it. This is because it uses the alpha. See, albedo is down here. So it uses the alpha as the diffuse. And it kind of makes sense because I have it underscored A. So apparently it recognizes A as albedo, I would assume. So if we're going to send alphas with it, I probably have to change it to the full name alpha. It wasn't stated in the documents that anything like that should be done. So A probably just means albedo. So that's the thing. And I think maybe I can experiment to see exactly what is going to have to be written. It's possible that R could stand for roughness as well. But rough did get into the roughness channel here, so that's good. That's one win. The normals did not work. So probably, if I go up, go to the textures here. Oh, that's where I was. I don't even have the normals anymore now, so they're. But I can't use the DX. I probably have to use norm DX going forward, so I'm going to try that. I know that worked from before, so I am experimenting a little bit now with namings and things. But still, DX, it said it should have worked, but it didn't recognize it as a normal map, or else it would have ended up here. Let's see, is there anything else? Let's check the additional texture. Okay, so here we got everything in the additional textures. So we got the DX not hooked up. We got the GL, which is there as well, and everything is here. All the RGB textures. So you could puzzle this together by yourself. I have changed the names on all the files now and assigned them correctly as I think it would be. So let's give it another try. Go back to the asset publishing and click replace file. Go into the FBX and just try to replace it here. It's right there. We hit confirm and hope for the best. Let's see what the second try took us. So still a lot of problems. And also a reminder, when you do this, you're going to have to delete the previous one that you did. FAB has a bit of a problem with updating these things, and if you have the previous on disk already, it's gonna be very confusing. Let's see what we got. So let's take a look at the materials here. So it's not the same material as before. You see now it's a material instance. For some reason it's changed. I don't know exactly why it's changed, but it's material instance. And if I double click it, you can now see it's parent Fong surface material. Now this is something I'm not going to use at all anyways, but this goes to some kind of interchange framework content materials. So yeah, tough to see what it wants with that, but it's something that's in, you can see it in the engine content. Nothing that we're going to use anyways. So let's go back up to here. But it's just a bit odd that it creates all of these things, and it did something different before, and I haven't changed that much. But let's also see what it looks like. So I assigned some materials. So they all come in gray because they got this Fong material on them. So I got to go to the materials tab, and you can see it's better. It's much better now. Still not exactly what we want because things happened. So let's see this grass. This grass here I think is going to work just fine. So that looks pretty good. If I double click it, you can see it now finds automatically the roughness, the normal, and the albedo. And that's actually all I'm asking for. This is what we need. And parent is the Megascan's default material. So that's this one here. So that's correct. That's really nice. One win. However, let's see the other ones. Let's take, well, we can take this one, for instance, here. So this one is a little bit different. So what happened here is that it was kind of a success. You got the roughness, and now you get the opacity, because I named this extra texture, I named it an alpha. So what happens then is if you have something named alpha, it picks up on that and creates a transparent material. So you can see the parent material here is transparent, Megascan's transparent. And that's not what we want. So even though I'm not using the transparent here, I'm just bundling it in case you need it in another software or for some other reason. It's just like a little extra service, but it's not really used in Unreal Engine. So I'm going to figure out what to do with that so it doesn't pick it up. But otherwise, it's also going correct here. It's going for the base color into the albedo and norm DX. It gets picked up as a normal. And rough gets picked up in the roughness. And what else? Well, you got the materials, you got the textures. This is all looking pretty good, I think. Got the norm DX. I'm going to double check and see that everything is as it should be. And in additional textures, I got what I need as well. And here you can see this is the UDIM textures, the virtual textures, and they don't come in as virtual textures, but at least they come in nicely here. You can see there that they got 2. And all I need to do then is convert to virtual texture. And in this case, it comes in without the sRGB in, so we got to flip that as well. And then just tweak these, that's fine. And here we got the RGB textures as well. I'm actually missing one. Didn't have that in, so I need to fix that as well for the third build. Try number 3. So I'll just show you quickly how to erase stuff. If I go here to the asset and then I go to files, you will see this is where it's downloaded. Let's move to, it's something called Vault Cache. And then you have to go to the FAB library and find this one here. And then just delete it. The battle continues. This is actually try number 4. So I did one thing. It's looking a lot better as it is now, quite a lot better. So what I did is that I decided to name the textures exactly the same as the mesh is named to a certain degree. So you see here, for instance, Fanal Larisilva Ferns DTRE raw. So if I copy that and I just check my textures here, I have the same name now all the way up to raw, and then the 4K I can add. It's not a problem, and the base color, of course, that's still going to work as a suffix then. So if you have that, it becomes a lot easier. And it does say that in the documentation. I just temporarily forgot about it. So what that does then is that now it seems like I don't get all of these extra materials or anything like that. So that did a lot. So if you name everything like that. However, there's still a couple of problems going on. And the first problem I had was I'm trying to get the mask or the alpha. So actually the only change I made from version 3 to 4 is that I named this one alpha, but then what happens, it gets picked up and you get the transparent material. Well, I actually tried this. I tried putting them in a different folder. Let's see here in Ferns. So I made a folder called Other, where I put all of these that I didn't want to get hooked up, because I read in the document that you're not supposed to do this. So I thought, okay, so maybe these ones will not get hooked up to the shader, but it turns out that it does. So when I had alpha, it still creates that transparent material. So okay, I'm going to rename it quickly to just mask, something else, and see what happens. And something else did happen. Now, if I go to the materials and just open this fern material, you can see it's still cut out here. So what happened is that now the opacity, it's in a slightly different place, but it automatically creates a material called Megascan's cutout. So this is a new one. And it's because I named this one mask. So that triggers it to create this cutout material. So I'm thinking probably can't have anything in my folders like this. It's just going to trip up the exporter to create different kind of materials. So all I want, I mean, it's super easy to fix here. Either you can just drag in the standard material here, or you just unclick the opacity and you're good to go. But I want this to be good, that when people open it for the first time, so you don't get a jump scare that what the hell is going on. It should work immediately. That would be the dream scenario, but so far not. So I think probably need to abandon the mask, or I name it something completely crazy. But that was a bit of a surprise. So this cutout is completely new, and you can see it's here. So before I have foliage material, I have the transparent, and now I got the cutout as well triggered. So yeah, what happened is, if I take this leaves here, for instance, and I check it, so at a distance it looks good, but once you start zooming in, you can see something is up. And I got two materials within this mesh here, which normally is kind of fine, but I guess the FAB exporter, it's just not mature enough to be able to handle it in a good way. So it does handle it as so much as I get the one called the twigs and I get one called leaves, but it assigns the leaves to both of them. So yet again, it's an easy enough thing. I can just change this for, let's see, the materials. I can change it for the twigs. I have it here. So it comes in automatically, and I can just get the twigs up to where it's supposed to be, and we're good to go. But it's not what I want, but that works. Another try. I think it's the 5th one now, but I think it's looking a lot better. So I got most of it sorted out as it should be. So let's take a look at what I've done. So in it comes like this, and as usual, this one is of course wrong. It's got the that strange Phong shader. So that's something I can't really do anything about as it is now. But what I did solve now that I didn't do before, it's that I put these things here. These leaves, they used to be baked together. So now I have the twigs are separated into one material. So we're going to get a lot of extra meshes here. So each material is going to be separated. That seems to be the easiest way to do this. And it's okay here because I don't have that many. But if you actually had quite a lot, it would be, yeah, it wouldn't look good if you have like 20 of these that you need to puzzle together. This is still okay. I'll take the hit, but it would have been nice to have a section called just plants. And then all of these plants would be divided into meshes inside, or into materials inside of it. But yeah, no, so here we go. Wood sorrel. It's this clover-like thing is one, and this is another one. So it's and all of this is separate now. But that means it works. Look at the textures. It's all here, and the materials are now looking good as well. If I double-click on a material. Since I named the alpha channel, it's now named cutout, and that didn't seem to trigger anything. So that's what it's going to have to be named from now on. So let's see here. We got the roughness, normal, and albedo, and it picks up a default material. So it's all pretty good as it should be. And if I check the additional textures, you could see here is the alpha channels named cutout, in case you need it for another package. Okay, but let's see what we do about this guy here then. There are not, I can do it 2 ways, and none of them are good. So I can either stick with this UDIM, and then what you have to do is you have to create your own UDIM material, which is not very hard. We'll do that in like 5 seconds. 10 maybe. The other one is that I split it up into branches, trunks and branches. So I will have 2 materials in one mesh. Now I run into that problem then that it will assign the same material to both of them, but you could easily change it for another material. But I think if you import it, it might just look good enough that you forget to change it. It's just really annoying that it doesn't work as it should there. Anyways, I could also split it up and accept that you're going to get a hard seam between them, so I get different. But different meshes with the materials, but that just seems like something I wouldn't want to do. So actually I think I am going to go with the UDIM. And then when I make the proper instruction move, I just have to show carefully there how to turn the default material, the Megascan's default material, into a virtual texture material. How do we do that now? Well, let's just navigate to where Megascans creates their default material. So we have it here. Now you see I've already made one on the side here, but it's easy to do. So all you need to do is you right click on this, you duplicate it. You can just have it something like this. I rename it to default material underscore VT. But let's check inside what you need to do to get this to work. So whilst it's open, it's kind of straightforward material actually, and I appreciate that. No fancy tricks involved. So all you got to do is find where this one is here. And actually, this is where you would change the texture to be a virtual texture. So what we need to do, if we just find where this one is, this is also Megascan's presets. So they have one here called Alpha Black and TSRGB Black and sRGB Black VT. So it's kind of all set up to actually be working. So I can imagine that maybe in the future they will get their act together and create a UDIM material. But for now, we got to do this. So for these here, we're just gonna drag those in. And we could do the same. Doesn't really matter because these are just placeholders and they will be switched out with the real material later, but can always be nice and like so. sRGB black. I actually think I should the roughness. So the beat of the roughness should probably be a just a alpha black. Yeah. This is because these are not going to be sRGB. So this one is sRGB and this one is just going to be plain linear and linear. So we don't want the sRGB version. And it should now be fine. And just click apply. And then what you do, now I got this one here, you just create a material instance. Let's say I do that here, name it test. So this would be where I drag things in. Now see it requires a VT to get these to work. So we just enable the ones we want to use like this. And then drag it to here where it is. But I actually have a few of them. I've done it before, so let's check what it looks like. So it's this one here, MS default material VT instance. I'm going to rename it as well. But here you can see now I have roughness, normal, albedo clicked in. And all you got to do is find your textures again. And they would be under additional textures here. So just drag them in. And before you do that, you have to right click and convert VT. No, convert to VT. So let's see. It will say something like this, convert to virtual texture. And I've done that for the ones I'm going to use, these three here, and then just drag them in and it's done. And then you, of course, just assign it to the slot. So here, materials. And now it works. So I wish this, of course, would have worked directly out of the box. You could just recognize it, but we got to fiddle around a little bit like this. And I think this is the way I'm going to keep it. So I'm just going to do a few renamings here and stuff and clean it up a slight bit. So this one can go. You can force delete that. And Yeah, so it's not too much cleanup. Then that would be the only thing you have to fix, and then it kind of works. Because in any case, I mean, it doesn't work 100%. Anyways, here I got one dragged in here. What it doesn't do, because I'm using the Megascan standard material, there is, for instance, no translucency in the leaves, so you can see they're very dark. So this is material then you have to do yourself anyways, but at least you get it in and it looks kind of nice like this, and then you have to use either one material that I have or something that you do yourself to get the translucency activated on the leaves. That does not happen automatically. But I just think it's good practice. If you get an FBX and you drag it in, it's kind of really nice to get it to work as close as possible out of the box. But that is it. I am going to stick with this publish. That's the one I'm going for. So if you download it, that's what it's going to look like. And just one more thing before we close this down. I'm going to do a little bit more work on the presentation. Well, the last thing I want to do is try to get this in to a 3D preview here as well, because I think these are very handy to do. So we're going to try to do that. And of course, I have succeeded here, but I needed to do a little bit of work in order to get this done as well. I'm not going to show you the whole process, but it took quite a few uploads before I got this to work as well. But I'll show you how to do it. And for that, we're going to need to go back to Houdini and repackage it there. So let's take a look. What I had to do is just drag in all the different parts from the tree into Houdini. Then I did a reduce, but about half of all of them. And this would be the result. Because if I upload the full, it's a little bit slow, and I want the presentation to be quite a bit faster than that. So now I could get down to something like 1,700,000 polygons instead of 2.5 million, which it was before I reduced it. And the other thing I need to do is, this is the tree. So I need to put that into a group A and a group B, because this definitely will not accept any kind of UDIMs whatsoever. So this is a little bit what I would have done as another option for getting it into Unreal Engine. So now it's just two materials instead. You got one named branches and one named trunk that are assigned. So here it's very important that you get all the material names in for all of them. They have them already, but you need a material path that looks something like this. M, laurel trunk, for instance. Then I delete that, reduce it by half, and save it out as usual. Now what I don't do when I upload it to the FAB Store, to that slot there, I will not package it as a zip with the textures. Now this is something you can do, and it works very well, especially if you have just one object and you just bundle your textures in there and it will find it automatically and put it on. I found it here to be very, very confused very fast, so don't want to do that. And it has to be one big mesh like this with the materials assigned to them. It did not work having split meshes. It only finds the first one in the hierarchy then. So what we're going to do then, we're just going to upload it. You go here, upload 3D models. You can drag and drop in your model and just click confirm. So you could also provide a zip file, like I said, with all the textures in. But for a complicated model like this, it's not really going to work. But it is going to work, is just dragging it in without compressing it to a zip file or anything like that, just raw. Okay, it's finished. Let's edit it. So we've got to go up here to edit 3D settings. So now what we can do is we can drag drop the materials in. So as it is now, there are no materials, but here you can see we got all of those entries that we had. So we're going to fix that. It's base color and roughness is the main ones. Now you can opt to add a normal map as well. I think I'm going to skip that this time because it just takes extra load time and it might not do as much as I think it or as I hope it would. So if you just have these two, it's going to be a little bit easier on it. So this is the fern. So let's find the fern, and we're just going to drag drop in from the browser here. Okay, we set it up nicely. Let's go to the ferns folder, and I have converted these into JPEGs. So it will be even lighter to load because that is of the essence here. So we just drag these in. We got the grass. And then I'm going to do all of these here as well. And the textures are on. And now we're going to first fix the scale. So it turns out it's 100 times too big. So if I scale it down, it looks more correct. Now I can decide even if I want to re-import all of this again and start from scratch, or if I keep it like this. So for now, I'm going to keep it like this, but I might redo it at some point. So I should have thought about that, but it's always the scaling issue that happens. So that's done. Let's check the lighting. So you got an environment here, and you can change it to something else then. That's maybe a little bit more fitting to this. You see, because we changed the scale, it's now a little bit weird to navigate around here, but maybe we don't need to think about that too much. But I will go with something like this. So there is the environment, and I wanted to cast shadows as well. And then you can turn the environment around. Just so we get it to look a little bit nicer. Say something like this. Now I don't do too much crazy stuff here at all. I want a kind of a natural look to it. But I could get a ground in, so I get a little bit of a shadow there. And that should be fine, I think. So you can actually have a lot of fun in this little editor here. But I'm going to stop it like this. And we hit the save. And close it down. We're just going to find a nice starting position for it. So we can hit save thumbnail there. And that's it. Now I got everything that I need. I got a couple of close-ups here. I might edit these in the future as well. Maybe I get some more images in just to showcase it a bit better. And then we got this. And the rest is filled in as we did before. So we're now all ready to just hit the submit for review for almost a final time. Then I will go through this again. I might put in some text here on the thumbnail and a few other things. But for all intents and purposes, this is all we need to do. So I hit the submit for a review here, and we'll see submit, no conversion, and a manual publication for that, and confirm. Thank you so much to everybody who made it to the end. I thought when I started this I would make 3 or 4 episodes and each would be like 20 minutes long, but here we are 15 episodes in, and there was quite a lot of information. And there's still a lot more I could do with these trees. I mean, I could have bones and wind and all that kind of stuff. However, I'm gonna stop it right there, and I'm gonna finish all the other trees. So I got 10 more trees I need to get into the engine and finish up. And then after that I'm going to do the ruins and a few other things. So the project is not over. It's just going to take a little bit of a break as I catch up and make all the other trees and publish them. So be sure to check out the FAB Store and pick up that free tree that I just published. And if you're watching this way in the future, it's going to have a price on it. So this is just to all of you heroes who made it to the end of a almost 15-hour long lecture video. So I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope to see you around soon again.